Yeah, this weekend I decided to play around with this YouTube thing, and I watched it. I love it. I've seen what people are doing, and I had to go think about what I wanted to do, right? Because you copy formulas, but that's not interesting, right? So it has to somehow come to you, right? And destiny has it that I had to get on YouTube to basically store and distribute video documentation that I submit to my insurance company, State Farm, right? So my house got damaged significantly, and 3.5 years into it, they're still running me around, right? So you hear about it, but until it happens to you, it's just a concept. So I've been dealing with that, and part of that is that there's a lot of documentation you need to send on video, right? Because in words it doesn't make sense, in still photos it doesn't make sense, and it's easy to watch and easy to send, and it's really awesome, right? But they won't let me do that. They say no, it's forbidden. Can't send videos. So I have to figure out a way to do that. And it's unlike the old days where I can, send a VHS tape, right, or a movie reel. And so I decided, well, I'll just use YouTube. And, it's awesome because I had to buy a second computer, right, to hold all this stuff. And, the cost is just getting over the top dealing with this thing. But, you get all this data, you get 10 gigabytes or 20 gigabytes from stuff, or even more, while you're producing it. And then you got to have a place to serve it, and you got to, need a server, and then rent a room, and then, it's an endless nightmare. So I started to use YouTube because it's easy for me to push up, and manage. It's awesome stuff, right? And I met the VP of marketing for YouTube this summer, and it really inspired me to go there and check this thing out. So next time I meet her, I have something useful to say. And then the cool thing is, on the receiving end, it's like high bandwidth, perfect delivery, deals with all the stuff, totally secure, because, State Farm's position is somehow I'm going to send some malicious software through videos. So YouTube is the best way. So I deliver videos now through YouTube with the link in writing on a piece of paper so it's safe to the CEO of State Farm and have him try to deal with my claim because it's not right, which is a whole different story. And I started making videos also for that, to get the story down, right? And because it's so interesting that it needs to be recorded and told. It's absolutely fascinating. 3.5 years into it, I still don't have an adjustment. And, well, I'll save the gory details for when the public gets the story. But, it's been amazing. So I've been using YouTube. And out of need, otherwise I never would have done it. With the help of some friends of mine that are filmmakers, get it all set up. And then I got this recording set up that I've evolved to because, it's a pain to make a video. What a pain in the neck it is, right? And it's kind of, moved on to having to use Premiere, and I have this thing called Handbrake, and, variable frame rates don't work with Premiere because Adobe and Apple somewhat don't like each other. And, it's crazy how much of that you see at the consumer levels. LG TVs work great with my new PowerBook, and Samsung, no, they don't work. It's like, okay, there must be a little problem in Denmark there. So I'm on YouTube. And I started using it also to communicate to people, right? Send messages and update people and the writers and media people and lawyers and everyone, because it's a lot easier for me to just talk and to write it because I'm kind of detail blind, and not to mention I'm a terrible writer, right? So YouTube has become this kind of tool in an interesting way that I never expected. But it's been really for specific use purposes. And then lately I started, with the new year and all that, started having some interesting ideas that I need to involve more people. And so all these private YouTube videos get a little complicated to manage. So I decided, okay, maybe I should just go live. And yeah, just figuring out who gets which one was just too complicated. So yeah, go open source and just blast it out there and see where it goes. No, I have to be careful, right, in some things, but and I'll figure all that out as I go. But I decided I'm going to go on YouTube to basically capture stories that are interesting and thoughts and whatever for my little growing group of people. And the threads go from Arduino to insurance company to AI to making Alexa talk to tell me what to do with the insurance company, to golf, to working with kids. And I mean, it's just crazy, right? The educational aspect of this First Tee program is so awesome. I mean, that's one of the threads, and I didn't expect it to come out of this journey, but my house got broke bad. Insurance didn't deal with it, or they're slowly dealing with it. And so I ended up, in Arizona, and because I needed a warm place to live, because I lived in the garage for 6 months, until they gave me permission to get temporary housing, and I live in the mountains, it's cold. And it happened in June, it took them until December to give me permission to get temporary housing. I mean, just to give you an idea where it goes. And so, I'm depressed, like God doesn't exist, I find out. And I'm in this nightmare, and, I was very unhappy. And so I needed like a place to brighten my mood, like sunshine and music. Those are two things that do it. So I took up temporary residence down in Arizona. And I got here, and I live where you ski and fly fish and stuff, but down here, there's carp, but they're sleeping in the winter, and there's no fishing, and the things I kind of normally do, I don't do, and then all of a sudden I'm in a big city with cars zooming around all over the place, and water that is like the worst. I'm afraid to let the people of Phoenix know. And so I'm dealing with all that, and dealing with this insurance nightmare. And, of course, the first year I'm kind of angry. I mean, it's just normal process what humans go through, right? You go through grieving, and you go through anger, and you go through that whole thing. So I watch myself go through the whole thing, and then, take out my anger. I decided I'm going to go hit some golf balls. And I go to the golf range, and I start hitting golf balls. Just get the frustration. I just 300 golf balls a day. It was amazing the number of golf balls I was hitting, right? And then I noticed something, I looked up and down the range, and I had been away from the game, from goofing around in college to, now. And so all of a sudden I'm back in golf. I missed the whole Tiger thing. I didn't even know what happened, right? And I look up and down the range. It's like, well, these people look like they play a lot, and, they're having troubles. And so I thought, oh, this is really interesting, because I was in another space where I saw this, which is fly fishing, right? Where people have the best gear, have the latest new fly rod to give you the distance and whatever, and most people can't cast. And I mean, you can learn it. It's just a hard sport, right? But there aren't many places to learn, and how they teach is kind of weird. And so I'm familiar with this arcane, mastering an arcane sport, So I look down the range, and I see all these people go, oh, this is really interesting. I'm just going to look into this. So for the last 3.5 years, I've been exploring the game of golf from the standpoint of, what does it take to learn it, right? And, you can learn it as a kid. You can be an athlete and play it. But, my point of view is I'm from one almost 60-year-old guy that hasn't moved joints like that in 35 years, at least, if not longer. And so it's an interesting problem. And of course, you watch the commercials on television, you look at the clubs and all that. We all want to be like that. Otherwise, who doesn't want to hit it like Dustin Johnson, right? And so I thought, oh, this is an interesting thing, 50-somethings, have some dough, got a bucket list, want to play golf, can't hit the golf ball. It's like, and then you look at the industry, and wow, it's amazing. So I started to look into that, and first round was like 121 or something, with like these old pig clubs that are basically as old as last time I played, these rusted things. And I just let myself flow into the game. And of course, I bought another pink set because they were made here, and I trusted them, and they fit me with some really weird gloves that were like super long and E something and swing weight. I mean, it was crazy, right? And I've been through the whole journey, right? And I've taken a few lessons here and there to see what that's like, and tried a bunch of stuff. And yeah, you want to get good, but that's really not the goal. The goal is, what happens in the process of trying to get good. And so that's an ongoing story that, I think I want to talk about sometimes because it's really, really fascinating, right? And then there's all this other stuff, like how I live. And because, they weren't giving me much money to live off of, I kind of learned to be frugal. And then I started saying, wow, living frugal is really interesting. It frees you up of a lot of junk you don't have to deal with. So I've been totally minimal, and I've been living like a college student, right? And it's awesome. It's like, but, I don't have a fancy kitchen. I have to cook like in the bathroom, right? Which has its own other set of problems, but you want to eat good stuff. And so, there's been a chain reaction of interesting things that have come out of this, including, writing software systems that, predict and tell me how I should find my insurance for, right? And I'll have an Alexa front end and could use Google AI, right, to really make it awesome. All kinds of crazy junk like this, right? All because it's a safe farm. And there's a lesson in that somewhere. I haven't quite figured it out, but sometimes, I've known that when things go bad, well, just learn to love it, and you will find a whole interesting world there. And so, that's what I was taught when I was in my 20s. Some Goethe saying, and I think I said that right, the German philosopher, in case, I butchered it. And I try to live that. And the State Farm experience has been really that. But this isn't really about State Farm. It's really about all that's come up because of that, and all the threads and how they have a life of its own and are interesting and all that. You have all kinds of interesting perspectives, like, so for instance, today I saw that there's this amateur golfer named Lucy Lee or something, and the United States Golf Association, headed by, they seem like a pretty strong-armed organization, right? And rightly so, they are the kings of golf, right? The royalty. So they're going to, look at her amateur status because she was in some Apple commercial. And she didn't take money, but the rules of golf say that, you cannot do anything to promote yourself for the basically business benefit of somebody else, right? And I thought, well, that's just completely ludicrous, right? And I'll tell you why in a second. So I had to check, okay, does everyone not see this or what? So I go to the Golf Channel, and of course, they got 4 guys there talking about whether this is right or wrong or whatever. Okay. And then I'm thinking, and here's the punchline, right? Nobody's like seeing the problem. So let me give you an example. The Golf Channel supports content for amateurs on their golf site. Social, Instagram photos, whatever, just to fill it with stuff, okay? All of those people are benefiting Golf Channel. This is a business, okay? And so all those people are legal, breaking the rules by the very rule, right, of the USGA. And let me take it another step, And the reason that I came to YouTube is I like watching YouTube. Right? It's great to sit in on MIT lectures without feeling like you're just going to get crushed by all this brain power oozing out of the people next to you, right? And maybe you can learn some stuff, which has been awesome, like physics, right? I've been into that. But, the Golf Channel, or the YouTube, has got all kinds of content with amateurs. You got fathers putting their kids' tournament play and all that on YouTube to, give them visibility to the universities. You have all kinds of amateurs, right? On YouTube, including, USGA clips of amateurs, right? And all of those clips, appearances on YouTube benefit Google. They make money, basically, off of you, okay? And so, they're kind of looking at this Lucy Lee thing, but I hope they figure this out, because this could be another, the USGA makes some mistakes sometimes, and they don't seem to see the big picture. So let's just see if they see the big picture in this one. Because, I'm an amateur golfer and I talk about golf and my whole story, and I'm going to put this on YouTube. And YouTube's going to make money off of it. Maybe fractions of a penny, because no one has any clue who I am or cares at this point, and maybe never will. But the fact is, by the letter of the law, or the rules, the famous golf rule thing, right? I am no longer an amateur. And so, I put up a couple of golf movies and moved them from private to public, and one of them I'm actually swinging a golf club, right, when I started this silly journey, right? Don't judge me by my swing, it's gotten better, okay? And so this is, this is a platform for me on YouTube for, the people in my world, right? It's the public version of all of that. Because it's an interesting experiment, and I don't want to do Facebook because, I'll be violating the USGA thing, and I don't want to make what's his name any richer than he already is, right? And so I thought, okay, maybe I just try YouTube, right? I mean, Google, at least I still feel, has a noble goal, right? The last time I checked. And so this is my first video, and this is why the channel is here. And, I'll flesh it out, right? I'm just going to post it, and we'll see whatever, go what the hell. And the name, I should explain it. Well, it's to fight State Farm, you got to fight State Farm, and you got to make a YouTube channel and hold this stuff. First of all, they ask you what category it is. Like, I don't know. It's like complaining about insurance, but it's not a category. So I had to pick the one that fit the most. It's kind of a sport. It's become a sport. It was very brutal. You're just getting the shit kicked out of you by then. And so I thought, okay, nonprofits and activism, okay? And so, because you have to apply a category, and there's no category for, love videos to the CEO of State Farms, right? Regarding my claim not being handled. So I had to pick a name. There's an email part of this. Like, shit, I got to pick a name. Everything's taken. So the computer system that I built that basically tracks everything that's happened on this insurance thing, it's the most complicated, comprehensive pile of data and software to deal with a homeowner's claim ever written, okay, and helps me figure out what moves to make next, and tells me what not to do, what I got to do, and when I did it, and all of this stuff, right? Because you can't keep it in your head. It's just not possible. It's called Fido. Right, it was called something else, but then, people started saying stupid shit like, well, you caused the homeowner thing to make the software. Like, what? They have no idea how innovation works, right? Like, at all, right? You got it backwards. And so I called it Fido. It's a nice name, and Fido helps me and tells me what to do and tells me what has happened, and I can ask it questions. It gives me answers. It's really awesome. And you say, Fido, generate a document with all 690 pages of receipts. It'll do that, over and over again, right? Because I keep losing the stuff I send and say I never sent it. So, Fido's an awesome workhorse. And so I said Fido is one part of the name. And then I needed the second part, so I needed to make an animal thing. And so there's this Googling around, in Ethereum means some kind of animal or creature or something, And it's not, I don't think it's necessarily a mean kind of animal, though it won't back down kind of thing. I don't know. I forgot what I read, but it sounded good. So Phytotherium is the little dog that bites, basically, and appropriate for the nonprofit activism category in a kind of a subtle, interesting way. But I just wanted to send videos to the CEO dude, and they made it so hard. But as a result, I am here. I am on YouTube. I have bought all the gear I need to produce these things, and I've got my workflow, and I'm still astonished at the amount of junk I got to do to produce these, and that no one's made like a single button thing. But you want the quality to be good, and so this is the first message. It's long. I'm a little excited, that I get to do this. And it finally came to me, I have a reason to do it, instead of trying to do what other people do based on trying to accomplish something else, right? It's just platform, data, thoughts, gut instinct, feelings, you name it, to my little circle of people. And that's in the public domain, so other people can join in maybe, right? And I think that's kind of the original spirit, instead of, hiring a bunch of people in Indonesia to give me subscribe stuff. I just don't get it. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. So this is video number 1. If you see it, you're part of the rare crowd. Okay, so congratulate yourself. All right, there'll be more. Cheers.